Jai Nandalala, Jai Gopala, Jai Nandalala, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Govinda, मन बजले हर का प्यारा नाम है. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हर का प्यारा नाम है. गोपाला हर का प्यारा नाम है, नंदलाला हर का प्यारा नाम है. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हर का प्यारा नाम है. La 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 la. मोर मुकुट सर गल बनमाला, केशर तिलक लगाए, केशर तिलक लगाए. मोर मुकुट सर गल बनमाला, केशर तिलक लगाए, केशर तिलक लगाए. वृंदावन के कुंजगल में सबको नाच नचाए, सबको नाच नचाए. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हर का प्यारा नाम है. हरि का प्यारा नाम है, नंदलाला हरि का प्यारा नाम है. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हरि का प्यारा नाम है. जय नंदलाला, जय गोपाला, जय नंदलाला, जय गोपाल. ला 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 ला. यमुना किनारे देलु चढ़ाए, माधव मरन मुरारे, माधव मरन मुरारे. यमुना किनारे देलु चढ़ावे, माधव मरन मुरारे, माधव मरन मुरारे. मधुर मधुलिया जबी बजावे, हरले सुर बुर सारे, हरले सुर बुर सारे. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हरि का प्यारा नाम है. हरि का प्यारा नाम है, नंदलाला हरि का प्यारा नाम है. श्री राधे गोविंदा, मन बजले हरि का प्यारा नाम है. La 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 la. Hi all, good morning. So last week I would have started a conversation on the law of attraction, how to attract or how to create your reality through the application of the laws of the universe and the teaching of the laws of the universe. How can you create your reality through the application of spiritual law and through the teaching of spiritual law, right? What is spiritual law? What is spiritual law? Spiritual law is, or natural law is that which is a universal, eternal contract or law which governs the consequences of our behaviors. It's spiritual law which governs the consequences of our behaviors, right? So this is different from legislation, man-made legislation on the earthly realm that is present and varies country to country, state to state, continent to continent, right? This spiritual law differs from such man-made law which wavers, which changes with time, with place, location, because with man-made law that was 100 years ago has changed now to incorporate different consequences, to incorporate different attachments, amendments, all these things, right? Whereas spiritual law, natural law remains consistent or remains the same regardless of time, place, and location. So that's the main difference between man-made law and spiritual or natural law, right? Now, basically what this law states is that there are consequences that govern our behavior. We make poor choices, we receive the consequences of our behavior. We make good choices, we receive the consequences of our behaviors, right? we perform good actions, we receive good consequences. We perform bad actions, we receive bad consequences. It is as simple as that, right? It is as simple as that, right? Whatever you put out into the universe is what you will receive in return. Whatever you put out is basically input and output. It's like an operating system, just like a computer, right? Is either garbage in, garbage out, or positive things in, positive things out, right? So that's basically how the law of attraction works. And in terms of attracting or creating your reality in a very real way, this can only be done truly through the spirit, through aligning with performing righteous actions in order to draw in or to attract or to create the reality that you want, right? To attract the reality that you want, you can do this through the application of and teaching of the spiritual laws, right? Now I would have ended that video by saying that the first step in terms of creating your reality through the law of attraction, through natural manifestation, through natural law, through spiritual law, is to become clear about what you want, right? The first step is clarity, in terms of clearing your emotional space, your mental space, physical space, so on, whatever, right? Clear your, but particularly your mental and emotional body, right? To clear those spaces in your head, in your heart, right? And become clear on that which you want, right? The second step in creating your reality through spiritual law manifestation is changed behavior, right? So in my last video I would have talked about it is not possible to create a reality in which you want by simply wishing or thinking or fantasizing, right? Wishful thinking or fantasizing about that which you want is not going to actively create. That's just going to be lingering in your mind or in the mind of the universe without actually bringing into fruition actual physical manifestation of that which you want, right? So that which you want can only be generated through changing your behavior, right? Changing your behavior, right? So how many people literally are like sitting in places of employment, jobs, whatnot, and do not want to be there, know that they don't want to be there, then they're sure that they don't want to be there. So that was like me whilst I was working at the government, right? I was wallowing in a state of basically, you could call it, I would call it self-pity, right? Although I knew that I had a goal to leave, right? For some years I was there sitting in self-pity, knowing that I know that I did not want to be there, right? I did not want to be there. But it was a thing in my mind. It was a thing in my mind that I do not feel accomplished here. I do not feel a sense of purpose here, what I am doing here, right? So how many people are going through their day-to-day lives like that in a space or in a toxic work environment where you're not being treated right? You're not being spoken to as if you're an actual human being, right? You're treated as though you're an animal, right? How many people actually put up with these toxic work environments just for the sake of, or you perform jobs that you know that it is wrong? How many people perform jobs in which they commit slight injustices and they know that it is wrong? The jobs that you show up in a workplace and your boss might ask you to do something and you know that that something is probably for a political agenda, right? It's probably to make somebody look good, right? It's something like that. But you would do it without standing up for the fact that, hey, this is not something that is right. This is not something that I should be doing, right? But you perform because this is your job, right? This is your job, right? This is what you have to do for the sake of obtaining your salary and so on. So all of these little things matter in terms of actually creating the reality you want, because you can't claim to want a particular reality, but or you want another job, for example, and not willing to leave the one that you're currently in, right? Want another opportunity, but not willing to take the first step, because the first step is to take the risk. The first step is the risk of leaving that which you don't want, but that which is comfortable, right? The first step is to leave that which you don't want, which happens to be comfortable in a sense, whether it be financially comfortable, whether it be you just stuck there and is comfortable, right? So change behavior and acknowledging that there's something that needs to be changed is the second step in terms of natural law manifestation, right? Now, natural law deals with righteous and non-righteous actions, and that includes righteous and non-righteous work, right? So I would have been employed at the government at that time. When I left, they were forcing people to take this COVID-19 vaccination and stuff. Forced behavior is wrong behavior, right? Forced behavior, any forced behavior is called coercion, is wrong behavior, and should not be, human authority should not be imposing anything. Human authority should not be imposing any kind of behavior, because we are born into a free will, right? The world is actually supposed to be a free will. We are free individual agents. We are free agents here to act upon our free will, and no human authority should force you to put anything in your body, right? You should never be forced to put anything in your body, right? So those government legislation by nature is immoral or wrong, right? So at that time I would have withdrawn from the government service and so on, right? I would have taken a risk. So that is the second step, right? So the first step is knowing that what you want. I knew that I didn't want to be there, right? The second step is taking the step. Change behavior. You can't create or attract that reality what you want if you're not willing to take the step towards it, right? So change behavior, and this applies to every area of our lives, because this is a tool that you could use to actually attract the things towards you in your life without having to chase anything, whether it be relationships, whether it be careers, whether it be whatever, right? How can I draw towards me that which is meant for me? How can I attract that which is meant for me without me having to chase after it, right? And the key to that is, in fact, aligning with the spiritual laws of the universe, knowing the difference between performing actions that is right, performing actions that is wrong, performing actions that could elevate us, performing actions that can degrade us spiritually, right? So change behavior. How many people I know are in relationships, right? And you want a better relationship, but not willing to change self, right? Wanting a better relationship without wanting to change the self, right? So the self is actually the root. Yourself, myself, is actually at the root of creating any better circumstance for ourselves. The self is at the root of creating a better circumstance for yourself, right? Because you can't be in, for example, a toxic relationship, right? And toxic in whatever way. We are all different and dynamic individuals. We are different and dynamic individuals, right? So toxic for me might not be toxic for you and whatever, but there are certain things that are definitely toxic, right? But there are so many in toxic relationships. Am I willing to leave that relationship? Am I willing to take the step to leave? Or am I willing to change myself so that circumstances can orchestrate itself and have me leave, or I take the bold action and leave, or um, or seek to change my behavior such that it might influence that person to change their behavior, and you could work out the relationship or something to that effect, right? So change behavior in whatever aspect of our lives we are looking at it at is the root of attracting or creating a reality that which I want. For example, in a relationship, if I'm in a relationship with someone, right? Yeah, if you're in a relationship, which there are not many healthy ones out here, right? But how many of us are actually willing to change the aggressive tone or the aggressive ways in which we speak to others, right? This was a problem I had, right? I would have had, I know, and I am not afraid to admit to my past faults, right? So whether it was me responding to other aggressive people, whether it was me responding to aggression, I would have picked, or whether it was a trait that I inherited, right? Either way, it was a trait that was inside of me, right? I could have picked it up along the way, or I could have inherited it. Either way, right? Doesn't matter. But the important thing is the recognition of the trait and attempts to change that trait, right? So, whether we are displaying aggression, whether we are displaying passive aggression, it doesn't matter. All these things is the same thing. Are we willing to change the belittling tone in which we speak to others to influence the relationships around us, right? Are we willing to change manipulative ways about us in order to influence the relationships around us, right? Are we willing to change, full stop, right? How can I change myself such that I can influence the people around me to change themselves, and we all help each other to change, to build better relations and to attract better relations into our personal or professional lives, right? For example, and all, there are people who are in relationships and they would make certain statements that would belittle or dishonor their significant others, whether it be to those persons themselves, or they might talk about each other with other people and so on, right? Which is no healthy thing at all, right? Which is definitely not a healthy thing. And that is why communication and honesty is the two most important things in a partnership or a relationship, right? In terms of generating a relationship that is actually healthy, or attracting a relationship that is healthy. How many people are willing to take the time to understand the partner that they are with, to truly understand, which takes time and effort, and even if it means neglecting work and stuff for a particular amount of time in order to do this, in order to build that solid bond with your significant other or whatever, right? It is all of these things have a part to play in naturally attracting or creating that which you deserve, one, and that which is right for you, right? It involves action, it involves thought, it involves emotion, right? It involves your playing your part. How many people are willing to actually take the time to look at themselves and see what do I need, how can I change myself to make my relationship better, right? um so how can I be of service, how can I be of service to another person, however, without having that person take advantage of me, right? How can I be of service to another person whilst also at the same time maintaining my boundaries and knowing who I am, knowing who I am, not changing my authentic self for anybody else, not changing my authentic self for anybody else, right? Authentic as in authentic in the eyes of God, not my version of authentic, right? How can I maintain my God given authenticity and be of service to my partner, my friend, my family, whoever, without one necessarily expecting anything in return, but two also knowing my boundaries and knowing what I'm willing to put up with, right? Um, so clarity followed by changed behavior. Clarity meaning I want something, or I want a better society, I want something, but and knowing for sure this is what I want, knowing for sure with clarity this is what I want. And secondly, taking action or becoming a person that would attract towards me or create that reality of that which I want, right? All within the application of and teaching of the spiritual laws of the universe.